Well, hello there everybody, and welcome back to another episode of An Ecologist Plays, the channel where I get to talk about nature and play games at the same time. Now, we are back in Terra Nil, of course, and we are restoring another wasteland, and this one is the fourth map, the continental map, and it consists of an old city that is, degraded. It's completely abandoned. We've got a few abandoned buildings over here, some skyscrapers, all those types of things. And we are going to start by first dredging an area deeper. Now, dredging just means that you take up some of the sediments from down below and you bring it to the surface. And so we are going to make this one area deeper, and then at the same time make the areas around here shallower as we take up sediments from the bottom here and we dredge it, we bring it up to the surface. And in the game here, this is quite a nice strategy to use. However, it does reduce the geological stability, which makes sense, I think. We're just going to dredge this area, I think, deeper as well, just to have a bit larger area to work with. I see I am again working close to the nuclear waste disposal facility over here. But anyway, did that in the stream as well. It's just going to cause some interesting results. And then one last little dredging over here as well. Okay, now we need to remove these dredgings. So we need to take out the material that was used there. We're just going to use a little loading dock over here. It's going to strip this skyscraper as well and remove that dredger over there as well. I've already removed the one at the bottom here. Okay, now from here we can now create the turbines. We can finally have some kind of power being generated, and we are going to be using the tidal turbine. So with the tidal turbine, as tides come past, this turbine at the bottom here just spins and it generates some power for us. And now we can finally clear the area. So let's finally bring in a little bit of green into the world here. And there we go. We have finally produced some greenery. That is marvelous. Now, dredging, as we are doing here, will have some ecological consequences, of course, as well. Apart from the fact that technically you are causing some geological instability, you are also really destroying the habitats of a variety of creatures. In this case, we have to do it for the greater good, but it's still not preferable. If there were any way for us to get enough land to actually rehabilitate without us dredging, I would have really preferred that method. However, we have to go with what we have available, and so we are making use of these dredges. Now, there have been some examples. A lot of harbors, for example, will use dredging so that they can actually get the area big enough for big ships to come in. However, it will result in quite a bit of habitat destruction for the little creatures that are used to there not being, dredging in deeper areas. Many species are adapted to shallower environments, and if you now go in with a dredger, you are just making it deeper. You are causing a bit of chaos there in that area. You are changing the habitat in that area, and that is not preferable, of course. The thing is that using dredging, for example, to make an area deeper for a harbor is not necessarily going to have the desired effect either, because what you'll have is that the currents, the ocean currents, will simply bring back those sediments again. In South Africa, for example, there was a classic example of that happening, where there was the so-called Richards Bay Harbor, which was constructed, and that was in an estuary. First of all, bad decision to go and build it in an estuary, but nonetheless, they did some things there that tried to negate the negative impacts of building a harbor in an estuary. But when they built it, what happened is that the estuary kept on getting shallower again, simply because that's what rivers and estuaries will do. Rivers and the ocean will bring in sediments into those estuarine environments, making it shallower again. And in their case, the harbor just kept on getting shallower and shallower again, and they kept on having to dredge it. Eventually, they just cut that section off completely, but that is something else to talk about at a different time. The essence of my story is that as you dredge, you are going to keep on getting sediments coming into the area again. Just because you've dredged does not mean that it's going to stay deep. It is going to get shallower again. And you'll have to keep on dredging. And of course, constantly dredging it here will just result in a whole lot of geological instability and will really mess up the system. And of course, we are going to be seeing that in a moment. Now we are just going to dredge one last area deeper. I'm not sure where to go about doing this. In all honesty, maybe here? Maybe over here. I think let's do it over here. Yes. And there we go. We've got wildflowers blooming. That's beautiful. Finally, we've got a bit of color in the grasses here. Now, I'm not particularly fond, I'm really not fond of lawns at all. First of all, I don't like grasses because I am allergic to grass flowers, grass pollen, grass seeds, all those types of things. Anything related to grass, yeah, I'm allergic to that. So that kind of sucks. But in any way, it's kind of bad for a botanist slash ecologist slash conservationist to be allergic to grass. But anyway, we'll get back to that in a moment. We are now going to have to put in the vegetation, the biomes, of course. We're going to move away from just a grassland area over here. Now, grasslands, oh dear. That doesn't sound good at all. I think soon the geological stability will be so low that these things are going to explode. So, yeah. Now, grasslands are actually quite diverse in plant species. You can see here we've got a lot of grass, we've got a lot of weeds or weedy type of plants as well. Flowers blooming in here. Lawns in city environments and town environments are not that diverse. In fact, I hate lawns with a great passion. Unfortunately, one often does need lawns, specifically so that your kids and your dogs and so can play in the yard, for example. But lawns are really, really not diverse environments. And if I could, I would not have a lawn at all. Simply because we have this monoculture of a grass environment, and it really just sucks. Anyway, getting sidetracked here. Oh, there goes the geological instability. It's going down. It is going down, and that means these things are now going to go boom. Yeah, there goes the one nuclear waste facility, there goes the second and the third. So now suddenly, we've got nuclear waste coming in as well. Okay. So this now means that we have to find a way to get rid of the nuclear waste. And I first want to do it at this part over here. Now, of course, you can't build in the radiation, mainly because, well, nobody would want to go into a radioactive zone, which makes sense. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put this little radiation cleanser up here. So it cleans the area around it of radiation. Must be built on rock or concrete. Now, it's quite possible that this is some kind of contraption that actually uses some kind of bacterium to capture the radioactive waste. Perhaps just some kind of compound in there that does capture it. Let's have a look here. There we go. It just says pulls radiation from the surrounding air. Radiation cleansers must be recycled by specialized equipment. Interesting point that. So it doesn't say what is in these tubes to actually catch the radiation and to make it inactive. But basically, this would now become radioactive waste. If you have something like this and you need to get rid of it, you can't just go and put it in the local landfill, because then eventually it's going to break apart and the radiation just goes back into the environment. What happens is you need to take this and bury it quite deep and then concrete it over, so that there's no way to actually go and accidentally open it up again, because if that were to happen, yeah, that's going to be a major problem. Now we're just going to, as the radiation goes back, we are going to put up some more radiation cleansers over here. That is hopefully going to clean this area sufficiently for us to actually put up a helio cage. Now by putting a few around here, we are keeping the radiation under control mostly, but we are now going to control it completely by putting up a helio cage. And helios refers to sunflowers. So, yeah, quite awesome plants. Now, initially in my live stream, I wasn't sure why on earth we are putting in sunflowers here, but it seems that, thanks President for the comment to clarify that as well on the live stream, the sunflowers here actually were quite useful for capturing, they're very good at capturing radioactive material. So they are a bioaccumulator of radiation. Basically, it means that they take the radiation out of the environment, and then by doing so, they store it in their own tissue. And that is actually quite good, because it means that when they are done capturing it, you can treat them like radioactive waste. So, for example, in areas where they've been used to actually clear radiation, they then become radioactive, And then before they actually die and decompose, you can just take them up and then bury them. And basically just wherever you've got nuclear waste, yeah, that is a good thing to plant. But then remember to treat it like nuclear waste, because that is in essence what it will be. Now we finally have another little helio cage set up here. Okay, so we've got some sunflowers established. We now also have pelagic fish coming back. Oh, that's marvelous. And kelp forests establishing. So in the previous map, we had to establish the kelp forests ourselves. Here they come back all on their own. This is what we call autogenic recovery. Recovery without human intervention. So just by providing a suitable environment, the kelp forests have established here. And they would establish with spores of the algae that make their way into this bay over here with the ocean currents. And then they establish in areas that are not polluted. And that is marvelous. Okay, now in order for the rains to begin, we need quite a bit of moisture and we need quite a bit of an increase in temperature. So we are going to try and do that. And to do that, we are going to burn. Of course, burning here will increase the temperatures because it releases more greenhouse gases and more heat trapped in the atmosphere. And in essence, the temperatures will heat up. Same as we are experiencing on Earth nowadays, of course, as well. I'm going to try and get rid of this one last little skyscraper over there. Also in the process getting rid of quite a few things over here in this general area, unfortunately. But nonetheless, that is what we have to do here. Just bringing some power back as well again. Okay, and now that we've done that, we can actually bring the bamboo forests back as well. And the conservatory. Well, that is very interesting. First of all, we are changing the climate a little bit. Still, by burning it. Some people just want to watch the world burn, and some people want the migratory birds to return. Now, the migratory birds here, of course, it is now technically summer in our little world over here because it is warm enough. So the migratory birds will be moving in. But we need a nice place for them. And the nice place we are going to make for them will be some kind of wetland. And we're going to have a nice little smallish wetland, but a wetland nonetheless, establishing over here. A lagoon, I believe, we are establishing. And this is a marvelous area for birds to come in. And for migratory birds in particular to come in. And look at that. Oh, marvelous. Now, a lagoon is basically just a calm bay from extending from the ocean. So technically it should be salty. And technically it should be in this area over here. It shouldn't be in the middle of nowhere. That's just a normal wetland. But nonetheless, we are going to say that the marine environment is extending in from this side. And it's just a nice little calm bay. And we now have a lovely little lagoon over there. Yeah, I think I'm going to take this area and block it off. And to do that, I'm going to use a whole bunch of mineralizers. Okay, this area is still too large to purify, unfortunately. So I've broken it into two. And we can first purify this area, make a very nice little lagoon environment. Oh, this is just marvelous. I love seeing these types of things in the game. Just nice little wetland areas, and we now have enough of the lagoon habitat. And the migratory birds would in essence come and chill and feed and rejuvenate in these lagoons over there. We've got a whole bunch of fish I see also swimming around. There should be some frogs in here. It is just really marvelous. Lagoons will probably also be a very important spawning ground for your pelagic fish. For your fish that are moving through the area and they need to spawn, they will be moving into the lagoon area. Are these fireflies? They are. We've got fireflies, everybody. Of course, producing their own light with a chemical reaction in their abdomens, in their behinds. Now we are going to be hunting some fireflies, most likely again in Grounded soon, possibly in Sunday's episode, but we'll see. May have actually done it in this past live stream. I'll have it down below if we did. But anyway, fireflies, really, really amazing creatures. They have this chemical that they produce called luciferin, and then basically that results in that glow. Oh look, we've got fish swimming all around in here as well. So they've really taken to the streets in this case as well. As the cities have become flooded and desolate, we are now rehabilitating it and life is returning to it once more. Oh, now this is marvelous. I love seeing this change from a horrible environment to a much better looking environment. Let's see, I want to actually rehabilitate this entire area. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this. No, I can't. I won't be able to make it. Unfortunately, I can't make this entire section a lagoon. We are going to have to land our mothership over here as well, of course. What I'm going to do, however, is just try to get the rain. We still need a bit of heat. We need 9 more degrees in terms of heat, and we need quite a bit of moisture still. So, there's another 2 degrees. Here's another 3 degrees. Some people just want to watch the world burn. Okay, I think it's going to be warm enough now. Yes, now we need a lot of moisture. And we're going to, of course, have the cloud seeders coming in, taking a whole bunch of the water from the surrounding areas and pumping that into the atmosphere to increase the humidity without resulting in the water going away or disappearing. It is technically increasing evaporation rates over here, but not to such an extent that there is no more water in the area. Okay, there we go. The rains will now begin. The last one has been put in. We have really been changing this ecosystem quite a bit, but now it is going to change even more, and it's going to change a bit for the better, as the pollutants will now be removed with the rain that falls. Now, of course, technically, what's happening here is the rain is falling, but it's just shifting the pollution elsewhere, making it someone else's problem. That's probably not the best thing to have happen, but anyway, we are removing the pollutants over here. I also argue that maybe it is a case of the rain is required for the fungi and the bacteria that are used in the bioremediation over here to actually perform well. And by us getting the ecosystem to the point where it can rain, we are just promoting those bacteria and those fungi to grow. And in the process, we are rehabilitating a massive area without it being necessary for us to actually go and put detoxifiers over here and power stations all over the place. The rain and the natural environment, through autogenic recovery, we are reaching areas like at the top here where we couldn't reach otherwise, without messing up the system perhaps a little bit more. So this is just marvelous. We are just going to let it rain, and as we do so, I am probably going to call it a day. So thank you very much everyone for joining us on our little adventure over here. Probably quite a short little episode today, but we have gotten the environment to start rehabilitating itself. And next time we are going to be putting in some deciduous forests, and we're going to be putting in some bamboo, and then start looking for some creatures in the general area. So if you enjoyed the video, please do give it a like down below, share with your friends, and also remember to subscribe if you haven't yet. Really helps the channel to grow, and it makes me so happy to see all the new subscribers coming in. So thank you very much everyone. You guys are all marvelous, and it's a great pleasure for me to be here with you. And of course on Friday I'll be back in theHunter Call of the Wild, back in the Emerald Coast, where we are going to be hunting some exotics and possibly some indigenous species over there. And until next time everybody, stay safe. We will see you all soon. Bye.